Right, then it's time for us to talk about Bruno Fernandes and the versatility that we are seeing out of him playing on the right wing. Ten Hag has been getting his tactical freak on of late. We've seen Lindelof in the pivot. We've seen Weghorst as the tallest number 10 in Premier League history. We have seen Luke Draw drifting into the 8 and playing at centre-half. We've seen Sancho basically all across the pitch in the forward half. But the most effective, arguably with Luke Shaw, of these moves is seeing Bruno on the wide right. Now, it's not something that's unique to Ten Hag. We have seen him occupying this position for Portugal, but in a Manchester United shirt, Bruno played in the 10, and that was that. Now, the general tactical flexibility that we've seen on show has been nothing short of outstanding, because it's very difficult to impart your tactical philosophy on a team, see it through to a level that you are happy with it, and then start to give tactical flexibility within a few months. Now, you got to remember as well, this is a season that was disrupted by 6 or 7 weeks of the World Cup. So it's not like he's had the players the entire time since July last year. And for us to not just have got to grips, because I think mastered would be a bit giddy if I said mastered, but got to grips with how he wants us to play as plan A, but also find the time to make tactical tweaks that have been successful at the rate they've been successful is nothing short of spectacular. And you got to think, it's their full-time job. They're getting 30 hours a week on the training pitch. They're not really. United have had a game every 3 days for essentially the whole season, it feels like. When you're in that sort of rotation of matches, unfortunately, the amount of time that you get on the training ground is extremely limited. And I'd love to be able to start quizzing some people from United and find out what's actually going on, man. How much video learning are they doing? How much discussions are they having? Because these are things that you can do to increase understanding of your players without actually drilling them on the football pitch, because there's a limited amount of time and you have to think about things like recovery. And if you're in a domestic and Europa battle the way Manchester United have been for the last couple of months, then your +1 from a match day is pretty much recovery, bit of cycling, maybe some analysis. That's it. And then the day before a lot of these European games, you're just travelling. So your time on the training ground is extremely limited. The fact that he'd been able to impart the main plan and it be very, very, very good, but the fact that we're seeing so many players finding the time to move their main position into something else and pick it up like they're a natural that have played there their entire careers is honestly spectacular. And the credit's not just to Erik Ten Hag, but Mitchell van der Gaag, Benny McCarthy, every single coach involved at Manchester United is doing bits this season, not least Steve McLaren, who I'm sure is having a massive hand in what is going on as well. But Bruno has been spectacular, and his performances out wide have opened up endless new lineups for Manchester United, and it paves the way for Sancho to be in an area where we might see his best football. It's exciting times. So if we delve just into the stats of Bruno as a right winger, this season he's got 2 goals and 4 assists, so 6 goal involvements at right wing, and that's in 6 starts. And he's only played it twice prior to this season. He's got 5 goals and 5 assists in the other 30 games this season. From that alone, you would say there is a level of productivity that you get out of Bruno Fernandes on the right that you simply are not currently getting with him in the 10, because previously we have seen that level of production from Bruno Fernandes. He seems deadly in that area of the pitch, and the positional stats don't really even count for games that he's started centrally and then moved out wide in game. It's very difficult to sort of track all of those stats without us looking at every minute of every single game. But from a tactical point of view, why is Erik Ten Hag doing this? And there's a couple of options for this. Until I asked Erik Ten Hag myself, I'm not going to know, but there's a couple of options here as to why this might be happening. One, Tadic played a real similar role to the one we're seeing from Bruno, playing out wide with a bit of a similar profile of his player, as opposed to the opposite winger who provides the width. What Bruno is doing is being able to be moved inside a lot earlier than the opposing winger, and operating almost as a second striker when Rashford drifts into that wide channel when he's starting up front. That creates a lot of room for Dalot to get in there and overlap, or also even Wan-Bissaka when he's been playing to get in there and overlap, and to provide crosses and width in the final third. Sometimes it seems like Dalot inverts centrally and Bruno will hold the width. It's almost like there's a bit of a rule that someone has to be in the half space and the wing channel and on both sides of the pitch at all times. So it's not necessarily that you will stay wide and this person will narrow in, or this person will narrow in and you stay wide. It seems to be flexible to me. As long as someone's occupying either of those slots, we're good. The double pivot also helps cover with Dalot advancing as well. You'll see Casemiro will drop into the back line to support the centre-halves and also build a solid base of defence for us for when we're being counter-attacked. And as the number 10, Sancho's very effective in operating and linking play in between the lines. But where he'll be most effective is in the right-hand channel. His movements to the side complement the width that's being provided from Dalot, whilst also creating room for Bruno to exploit when he comes in from the right. So this tactical shift is about facilitating movement within the players and not being static. And it's almost the complete opposite of what we had under Louis van Gaal, where it was positional and static. Under Erik Ten Hag, it's quite strict positional, but as a start point for the movement. And that is an upgrade. Ten Hag's Ajax really built their attacking play on constant rotations, and rotations is really difficult to sort of showcase in single frame still shots because obviously they're about movement. You can't show movement really from stills, but I think that's what he's trying to begin to implement. The ultimate goal is always the same. You use rotations to create central overloads and passing lanes that allow the side to be able to attack space in between the lines. Football boils down to this. Can you create shots and limit your oppositions? What do you believe the best way to do that is? Some managers believe pumping it into the box, fighting for second balls and trying to get the ball to the edge of the opponent's area as often as possible is that move. Some people associate that with Sam Allardyce. You could also associate that with Jurgen Klopp. Some people will look to exploit weaknesses in opposition system by passing them to death. Pep Guardiola, Barcelona, looking for somewhere in the region of, I think it's 16 passes to create the correct shape, I think it is. 25 passes to start seeing the opposition switch off and for their defensive shape to start to break down. That's a lot of passes per sequence. And it's extremely difficult to do. Extremely difficult to create that many passes. If you look on average, the most there's a stat that's out there called passes per defensive action, and that will tell you how many passes an opposition allows before they obviously go and intercept the ball or tackle or whatever. And it's about between 4 and 6. So when you're thinking like we're trying to get 25 passes every single time we get on the ball, insane amount of passes. But anyway, there is limitations with Bruno playing on the right-hand side. I think he has positives when he's played in this wide position. I think there's a lot of things that are very good that he does in that sort of area. Him being on the right-hand side allows us to get the ball to him in an easier area because teams centrally load to protect. The centre of the pitch is far more important than the wide areas, and therefore he will find himself in space more often on the right-hand side than he will in the centre of the pitch. Against low blocks, you probably want more 1v1 ability. You're probably going to want someone who's going to dribble, a Rashford, a Sancho, an Antony. Bruno's not really got that in his locker. He's got excellent delivery of dead balls and good crossing into the box, but you don't really see him beat a man. That's not really what he's there to do. He's more of a knock it out with his feet, try and spin it into the box than he is going to be trying to take someone on, knock it past them or anything along those lines. If Ten Hag played him on the right wing as a low block, it would really only work if they did what we see the likes of City and Barcelona do, where they go 3-1-6 with the right back consistently holding the width. Give him an option to his side there, and then maybe the fullback can narrow in, get to the byline and look for the cutback. Or you see him crossing from that De Bruyne half space sort of channel to the opposite side of the box, back post sort of area where he could receive the ball on an angle from said fullback and then put it into that sort of area. You've seen that doing quite effective things, actually, under Pep with Manchester City. Obviously, Barcelona never really played it like that because on the right, you've got Messi and he's dribbling. So there are ways that I can see this evolving. But what I really like is that it's a nice tactical shift United have got in their locker. We saw it against Barcelona. All of us thought Bruno's in the 10, Weghorst up front, Sancho on the right, Marshall on the left. Yeah, let's go. It walks out onto the pitch and you go, hang on. How the hell are they lining up? Weghorst in the 10. And what it does is it gives Manchester United a tactical advantage, because the most logical way of this team lining up is not necessarily the way this team is going to line up. And as we saw with Barcelona, they're going to prepare for Marcus Rashford playing on the left, and he can show up down the centre. You might prepare for Bruno down the centre, and he can show up on the right. That is a good thing. You don't want to know with absolute certainty what Manchester United are going to do next. You want there to be some doubt, because where there's some doubt, you have to prepare twice. And that's brilliant. So we've seen it with Ten Hag previously, and we are seeing him utilise the very best of his squad by multi-rolling players. I'm surprised we haven't seen Martinez in midfield just yet, because I think centre-half's one of our strongest positions. I'm surprised we haven't seen him play at left-back maybe yet. I'm surprised we haven't seen him revert to a 3 at the back. But I'm sure all of those things are coming in the years that he will be here to come. And I can't wait for it. I find it absolutely fascinating watching him. He is a genuine football boffin, and it's a privilege to be able to watch him. But I thought I would just sort of talk to you a little bit about why we think we might be seeing Bruno off the right. And I think we're going to be seeing it a lot more. Let me know in your comments what you think. See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.